What is your life made of? How do they make money? They exist to mine your attention. Right. So here's the thing, right? If you look at your life, what is your life made of? Your life is made of the sum total of all of the choices and actions that you've taken. So all of the consequences of all of the actions and all of the choices that you've ever made, if you add that up to one big ball, right, that's your life, right? But where do those choices and consequences come from? Well, those choices and consequences come from ultimately your beliefs, because the things that you believe, your beliefs drive your choices and your actions, right? But then where do those beliefs come from, right? What are beliefs at the end of the day? Well, beliefs are the solidification or the persistent thoughts that you have, the thoughts that you've had that have been useful to you as a human being, right? Drive your beliefs. So it's your thoughts that then generate beliefs. So the field of thoughts, in the field of thoughts grow the trees of belief, right? And from the field of belief grow the trees of choices and actions. And from the field of your choices and action grows your entire life, right? But here's the really interesting thing, because that is an incomplete picture. I can sit here and talk for the next 20 minutes about how what you're thinking drives what you're believing, drives what you're doing, drives the actual results that you have in your life. But it would be very incomplete because you need to understand, where do your thoughts come from? Where do your thoughts come from? Why? Why does that matter? It matters a ton, because your thoughts are in some ways random. Your thoughts are just generated by your mind, right? I mean, try to guess what your next thought is going to be. Just try to sit here and think, oh, what is my next thought going to be? And that's almost impossible, right? Because your thoughts are coming from what? From input into your five senses. Your thoughts are not just random. Your thoughts are not just what happens to come into your head. Your thoughts are driven by something. I'm going to get back to that, right? But let's say that you have thousands and thousands of thoughts every single day. Not all of those thoughts become beliefs, because most of our thoughts, let's face it, are bullshit. Most of our thoughts are not true. We think they are. Most of the pain in your life, if you look at your life and you look where you have the most pain in your life, I can guarantee you that in that aspect of your life, in some level, you believe that your thoughts are true. You're believing that something that you're thinking is the truth. And it may or may not be. Now, sometimes our thoughts are accurate. Sometimes our thoughts are real. But very often, most of what we think is just complete bullshit. It's just complete manufactured crap. Just a reaction to a reaction to a reaction, right? Some of those thoughts, though, we can leverage. Some of those thoughts help us build our life, help us build who we are. And those thoughts then become beliefs, like beliefs that we hold. Like I have a firm seated, to the point of I know belief that my wife loves me and that I love her. And I will base my whole life on that belief, and I'm not afraid of it. I love it, right? It's a belief. It's hardened in me. I have a belief that doing hard work worth doing will pay off in my life. I have a belief that God and the universe is conspiring for my good. I have a whole lot of beliefs. Those beliefs then define who I am, right? The great I am behind all of my choices and actions, and then solidify again to be my choices and actions. Now, my life ultimately is the result of every choice and action that I've made. I may not have understood what the result would be. I may not have fully understood what the consequence of every choice that I ever made was. But at the end of the day, I made that choice, and I get to live with the consequences of it, whether they be good or bad, right? Not all consequences are bad. So the thing, though, is that drives this whole funnel. The thing I want you to think about, where do your thoughts come from? Where do your thoughts come from? What creates a thought? What inspires a thought? And I'll tell you right now, as I show you this graphic for the first time, the thing that inspires your thoughts, the field from which the trees of your thoughts grow, is what you pay attention to. It's what you pay attention to, right? This is the funnel of your life, right? What you pay attention to creates thoughts. Those thoughts create beliefs. Those beliefs create choices and actions. Those choices and actions spit out the whole of your life. So what you pay attention to is critical. It's funny that we call it paying attention. We're paying attention. What are we paying with? Not money, but with life. We are paying attention with our life, literally our life. We're paying attention with, right? We pay with life. None of us, not you, not me, none of us would walk down the street. We wouldn't go and take our entire life savings, hold it in our hand, and just throw it at anyone we see walking down the street. Every person who walked up to us on the street, we throw a pile of money at. We're like, oh, here, here you go. Here's some money. Here's some of my life savings. None of us would do that until we were done and had no savings left. In fact, though, we almost all do this with our time, which is a representation of what? Of our attention. We almost all do this with our attention. When is the last time that you doom scrolled for like an hour? Right? On the toilet this morning? In bed when you woke up? Right? What does that mean when you're doing that? You're giving someone else control of what? Attention. Remember that social media is free. It's free for a reason, right? If the product is free, then that means you are the product. So what are they selling? How do they make money? They sell your attention, right? Social media apps through algorithms and AI and all sorts of things, they exist to mine your attention, to mine it. Like just like people mine diamonds, just like people mine fine metals and precious metals, they are mining your attention. But remember, your attention is what? Your attention is what drives your thoughts, which is what drives your beliefs, which is what drives your choices and actions, which is what drives your life. So ultimately, when someone is mining your attention, they are mining it for your life. They are controlling your life. Now, in social media terms, right, what is that for? It's for advertisements. It's for money, right? It's, I'm going to show you this post by your friend about a dog, this post by your other friend about another dog, and then this post for a certain new dog food that solves the problems that happen in those two posts, right? The invisible hand, the thing that they're giving you attention to try to trigger you to buy things and to take certain actions that cost money to profit the advertisers, right? But think about what that means. You're giving an algorithm or your friends or text messages, and don't think that you're above this. Don't say, well, I don't do that. I bet that you do. Do you run to your email? Then you're giving it to your clients or whoever it is that's emailing you. Do you run to your text messages? Do you run to your kids? Here's the thing. By giving over our attention and deciding to just be a reaction to whatever's happening, we give over our thoughts, we give over our beliefs, we give over our choices and actions. So our entire life becomes controlled by the things that we give attention to. There are things in your life that are damn worth your attention. There are things that are worth it that you ought to give that attention to and ought to let it dominate your thoughts, beliefs, choices, and actions, right? When I had a new baby, this comes to mind. Hunter Eve was born. Man, did that thing require a lot of attention. I mean, I had no idea, and nobody really does until they have their own child, the amount of attention it requires. Well, what did that do? Well, of course, it changed every thought that I had, which changed damn near every belief that I had. And that changed all of the different actions and choices I made. So that attention I gave to my child changed the course of my entire life. And then I did that 4 more times, right? With Michael, Izzy, Elle, and Liam. So that was life-changing amounts of attention that led to everything else. What are you giving your attention to right now? And how is that shaping you? Trust me, it is shaping you. It is anything that is controlling your attention is controlling your life, because when you pay attention, you're spending your life. So if you give the control of what you pay attention to someone else completely, that other person will control your life completely. Sounds crazy, but it's really true. Okay. And when you give it to algorithms that are meant to make profit for corporations, and look, nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're seeing this on social media right now. It's not like it's all just horrible and evil, but see what it is. In a way, right now, I'm claiming some of that attention to try to give you thoughts, to try to build beliefs, to try to help you to have actions that'll make your life better. And maybe some of that is coaching with me or doing something, but really, I just want you to take control of your life, not stop living as a giant reaction to everything that you see around you. Start realizing that where you give your attention to matters. If you wake up every day and read the news, oh man, first, I feel sorry for you. But second, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel worried. If you wake up every morning and scroll Instagram, you're going to feel FOMO. You're going to feel left out. You're going to feel not good enough. Why? Because you're giving your attention to everything that's just so much cooler than you. What if you got greedy with that attention? What if you said, I'm going to take an hour to be who I want to be before I look at the rest of the world? I'm going to give my attention to myself and to the things I think matter. I'm going to give my attention to me and to mine. And I'm going to stop there. Then later, I'll give some attention to other people. Because remember, when you pay attention, you're spending your life. The reason we say pay attention is because you are spending something. You're spending time, you're spending energy. Ultimately, time and energy are your life. That's all you got. How much of it do you have? We have no idea. I wouldn't waste it. We often think that life is unlimited because we don't know how much we have. That is quite the opposite. If we don't know how much we have, it could be over tomorrow. It makes it precious, but inside we perceive it as limitless, right? So today, as you go through your life, pay attention to what matters to you. That also means there's shit that you should not pay attention to. There are things that just don't get your attention. The drama, the energy. I don't know why our country has become a place where the only thing that matters is political drama. And I just don't give it any attention anymore. I just don't care. It's not that I don't care about what's happening to our country. I'm just not going to let somebody else hijack my whole wiring to do something in fear when I don't want to. So I'm not going to give it attention. If I don't give it attention, it won't have my thoughts. If it doesn't have my thoughts, it won't capture my beliefs. If it doesn't have my beliefs, it won't drive my choices and actions, and my life will be better off for it. Okay, so just see, right? When you pay attention, you're spending your life, spend it wisely. Spend it wisely. Think about one area in your life, or maybe you're not doing this on purpose. Maybe you're not paying attention the way that you want to, and you can course correct it. Maybe pay attention in your life to there are things that should get none of your attention. You know, maybe you have to block them so that they can't have your attention in the first place. You're just too weak to ignore it. That's fine. But there are things that should get none of your attention. There are things that should get a lot of your attention, right? And is your attention where it belongs? Is your attention where you want it to be on purpose? And when you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to start living life on purpose. You're going to start being the person you want to be. You're going to start actually realizing your full potential as a human being because you stop letting other people drive the car. If you don't know who you are, there's no limit to the number of people who will tell you who you are for their own devices. If you don't know what you want, the whole world will tell you what you want, and it'll all cost about $19.99. For $20, you can solve any problem, right? For $10, you can buy any snack that'll make you feel any way. That isn't true, but they just fill the void. Your lack of intention becomes an opportunity for someone else to lead, manipulate, and guide you. I'm asking you to just take back the reins and to take it back today. Take it back today. Be very specific and intentional about where you put your attention, which will help you to curate your thoughts to thoughts that matter, which will drive your beliefs to beliefs that drive actions and choices that give you the life that you want.